Dirty Sports, episode 704, live in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I am your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey. No chill, pray now.
Hello, Andy.
Good morning.
Yeah, I still got 20 minutes left in morning here. Thank you for accommodating me this morning. A little later start for those dirt balls and dirt bellas and dirt. I forget what else we got. We got
I've given
the
up.
rubbish. We got rubbish balls. We got dirt balls down under. We got
across the pond balls. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, my apologies to everybody. I got up at 5 a.m. and went golfing this morning. Got a late call last night to hit Rancho Park, a famous LA golf course, for some morning action.
You've gotten so white. You're getting up now to golf. I mean, that's like the epitome of white boy, right?
I mean, I think more so than white, I'm getting old.
Okay.
And that's what I always like. To me, that's been the true acceptance of my golf life that is occurring is I'm old. And I always said, I was like, I'll learn to golf. I'll start playing golf. I'll, take up that sport when I'm old.
Sure.
And sadly, like I've said before, I just got old overnight last January, and now I'm old. I always felt young for my age, and now I feel at least my age.
You got to retrain your mind. Oh, excuse me. You got to retrain your mind, man.
Well, I could retrain my mind all I want, but when I get up off the couch and like bones like pop and crack and whatever, I'm just like, I'm now suddenly that guy who's like, just sitting up.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think a lot of it's in between the years. Like, dude, I see some of these guys doing marathons or at the pool, older guys who really are impressive, and you're like, I want to be that guy.
Well, I'm trying. I'm at the pool regularly, and my pool regimen is pretty heavy. So I feel like that's one place where I've always been, like my whole life. It was like a guy who stood out at the pool. I don't stand out on a basketball court. I don't stand out, in a surf lineup. I don't stand out on a golf course, but I've always stood out in a pool pretty good. So I still get after it in the pool. I'm early on, and maybe that'll help, but goddamn, if you should see what's on my leg right now. I mean, I should, I'm like the Terminator. I have a ice, / like suction cup pressure thing on my knee. Then I've got a pressure thing on my ankle. Like I look like the Terminator. I look like Tom Brady wrapped in Carson Wentz on my left leg right now.
What's the so like, are you doing therapy right now for the knee?
Like, I mean, talk about, one of those all-time government screw yous. Like my insurance that I specifically signed up for so I could go to my surgeon and get my surgery done and then have that whole thing happen at Cedars and blah, blah. I mean, the paperwork, the logistics of this were heavy last year. I'm sure you remember.
Yeah.
And January 2021, Cedars-Sinai no longer takes my insurance. So what was supposed to be like my final checkup was canceled. Now I've got to go do a whole insurance thing if I want to see that doctor. They won't let you pay cash. You're not allowed to pay cash. It's like it's a whole thing.
It's very frustrating.
It sucks.
It really is, though. Like I don't know, man. You talk about getting older. The more all this bullshit and bureaucracy, it's shit, man. And we all just accept it. We do. We all accept it. Like, I don't know how many times I'm going to bring it up. Like, we talk about all these protests or marches. Like, a lot of times there's protests for good things. I'm not saying that there's not right now, but like, I think there's stuff everybody can agree on, right? And like, we never unify as one and say, hey, what's up with these insurance companies?
Well, I mean, but that's the thing. that, and not to start off the show on a political bent, but like our country is so divided, and it's divided even where like people will argue over things that they 100% should agree on. If you don't want universal health care, that's fine. The idea that we don't have it is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. Every country, every first world country except us has it. A high-speed rail system. Every first world country except us has it. But like, we want to privatize. By the way, how's privatized energy going in Texas right now? Some things you should be like baseline, whether you want to buy in or buy out, should be there.
Yeah. No, I agree with him, mostly with what you're saying. It's like, it's not getting to the core of issues and problems. And sometimes you gotta really peel it. Like it's like you're going one layer deep, but this is like a 6-layer deep problem. Does that make sense?
Right.
It's
but
like
just imagine being the person who's sitting around somewhere like discussing universal healthcare and being like, every single evolved country is wrong. We are correct. Like you have to be a real dipshit to be like, everybody showed up at this party wearing white. I showed up wearing purple. Guys, you fucked up. This is a purple party. It's like, dude, it's not. This is a white party. P. Diddy sent out the invitation.
Yeah.
You wore the wrong fucking outfit, dog.
Sure. Well, to transition it into the breaking news of the last hour, I don't think
a guy who could use universal health care.
Yeah. Carson Wentz. Good segue there. I was going to say, we're talking about agreeing. I don't know if the Eagles fans, the city of Philadelphia, if they can agree who's their future, what their future is, what's happening. It's a giant train wreck going on with the Eagles organization.
Yeah, their future is very much in question. Howie Roseman just showed up in a lab coat with wraparound sunglasses, and he's like, quarterbacks? Where we're going, we don't need quarterbacks. You're like, what?
Yeah.
He's shoving garbage into the top of the Eagles franchise. Get in. We're going back to the dumpster. I mean, they fired. Let's just go through a timeline here.
Yeah.
The end of the season. So first you've got Carson Wentz. Did they trade or they had those picks? I forget. Did they trade up for Wentz? No. Goff traded. The Rams traded up for Goff. I forget. But the Eagles draft Carson Wentz 2. Very high. I forget where exactly they drafted him. They drafted him really high.
No, they drafted number 2 because that's what's crazy is the 2 top picks, which are Jared Goff and Carson Wentz from the 2016 draft, have now been traded.
They draft Wentz 2. He is their franchise quarterback. He has part of an MVP caliber season.
Sure.
He gets hurt. They win the Super Bowl with their backup.
It's crazy.
They put up a statue that says Philly, Philly. They put up a Bud Light commercial as a statue outside their fucking stadium with a visor wearing Doug Peterson and a 11-inch packing Nick Foles. They go back to Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz refuses to stay healthy. They get rid of Nick Foles. Carson Wentz, when he is healthy, is terrible.
Yeah.
They draft terribly. They go from winning the Super Bowl to dumpster fire very quickly. They throw the last game of the season for reasons that can be as many as or as limited to because they're a garbage city and they know that they deserve to lose, and so they'll take L's wherever they can get them. They want to see Nate Sudfeld. They want a cancer survivor and leg surgery survivor in Ron Rivera and Alex Smith to get into the playoffs. They hate the Giants. They fire Doug Peterson for maybe not getting along with Carson Wentz. And then they trade Carson Wentz, and now they're left with either Jalen Hurts who the guy they fired refused to play, but then also took out early, and the guy you replaced him with, Nate Sudfeld. And they trade Carson Wentz for very little.
Yeah. So Carson Wentz is traded for, this is what the trade is for. It's going to be a 2021. So this year, a 3rd round pick to the Colts. 2022 is a conditional 2nd round pick. So at worst, they get a 2nd round pick next year. Now, however, if Carson Wentz plays at least 75% of the season this year for the Colts, that 2nd round pick turns into a 1st round pick. Or the second alternative is if Wentz plays at least 70% and the Colts go to the playoffs, the Eagles get a 1st round pick.
75% of the snaps or the games? Snap doesn't matter, I guess. 75%, it becomes a 1st. 70% and the playoffs, it becomes a 1st.
Correct.
So I love this deal all around. I'm not going to lie. I love this deal for the Colts because it's really not that much that you're giving up. You're going, lowish risk, very high reward. You're, reuniting Carson Wentz with probably the guy responsible for his MVP-ish season and the Super Bowl, since Doug Peterson without Frank Reich has been nothing short of terrible and then fired. So you reconnect him with the guy who got the best out of him. You reconnect him with that guy for very little, like a 2nd round, a 3rd rounder and a 2nd round is nothing. A 3rd round and a 1st round, if you make the playoffs, is like a low 1st round pick. Like, who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he gets you to the playoffs next year, you happily give up your late 1st round pick, right? Like, you do that in a heartbeat. So really, it's a 3rd and a 2nd kind of either way. And you get, and you don't have to start Jacoby Bruscoli. You don't have to go back to you don't have to get back into the Bruscoli business. And that's nice. So a lot of upside for the Colts. And I love it for the Eagles because I'm a Giants fan. And what are they now? They're a rudderless boat adrift at sea. Their coach has been fired. They've replaced him with a guy who can't even get through the press conference without embarrassing himself. They're going with Jalen Hurts, who didn't start in college, basically. I mean, they had to, Tua took his job. Tua took his job.
Come on, dude.
Tua took his job.
Yeah, that's just inaccurate, though. He started a lot.
Okay. I'm just saying, he didn't start at Alabama. Like, he started, then he lost his job to Tua, who I think we all agree is suspect at best in the NFL. Then he goes to Oklahoma. Hurts is suspect at best in his playing time. Like, are they bringing in a vet? Are they drafting another quarterback? Are they trying to get Nick Foles? Are they, like, as a Giants fan, to look at the Eagles and be like,
by the way, Jalen Hurts started. I knew he started 3 of his 4 years.
Okay, I'm just saying he also lost his job.
But he started freshman, sophomore, and junior year
at Alabama.
Or I'm sorry, 3 years. Yeah, he started freshman, sophomore year,
and then transfers.
Lost his job, and then transferred. I like Hurts, by the way. I look. I don't know how good he's going to be
as a person.
Well, here's my name.
You like Jalen Hurts as an NFL quarterback?
I do.
You like the future of the Philadelphia Eagles in the hands of Jalen Hurts.
I don't know if I'm fully ready to commit to that, but I like that he's faced some adversity. And then he played great at Oklahoma.
Okay.
Now, the only problem is I think he needs – the irony is if he had Frank Reich, I'd feel a lot better if he had the Colts coach.
I mean, Jalen Hurts being good starts with knowing what to do. And knowing what to do starts with reading the playbook. And reading the playbook starts with knowing how to read. and no one had to read starts with going to kindergarten. It's like he's in the hands of a guy who couldn't get through the press conference without cue cards.
Yeah, I think obviously the Eagles are in disarray, but if I'm the Eagles, I think we got to try. I saw they're probably going to bring in competition, but I would say you go with Hurts, see what he can do the first 4 games or whatever, maybe reevaluate there. He was your second round pick. He played decent. He didn't play insanely well, insanely poorly. I think he was pretty middle of the road when he played. I agree with you on the Colts end. I like this a lot.
Let me ask you something about the Philadelphia Eagles next year.
Okay.
I'm gonna set their over under 3.5 place in the division. Do you go over or under 3.5 place? Are they the worst team or are they third?
God, the East is so hard to predict. Yeah, I'm gonna say under 3.5.
Meaning you think they're better than 3? They're better than third place. Their third place are better. You don't think they're the worst team in the division?
No.
I think they're the worst team in the division.
They probably are, but I'm also writing on doesn't mean that they won't finish third or better.
The division has
such a dumpster
Taylor
fire.
Heineke, Daniel Jones, and coming off an injury, Dak Prescott.
And that's my point.
And that's not good. And I think the Eagles have the worst quarterback situation significantly.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay. Jalen Hurts only played well in comparison to Carson Wentz.
Okay. I don't think from what I saw of Jalen Hurts, I'm not ready to
I don't want to buy a Honda Accord with 3 wheels, but if I'm deciding between a Honda Accord with 3 wheels and a Honda Accord that's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, I'll find a wheel. You know what I mean? That's Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, but I'm not ready to fully assess him yet. We didn't see enough. What I saw was, hey, give the guy a shot. And they did. And I thought he played well enough to get a shot next year. Now, are they going to bring in competition? From what I'm reading, yes, they will. But I say give the young guy a shot. And again, I like kind of his story. But yeah.
Here's one thing I know about Eagles fans too. Eagles fans will convince themselves of anything. So I put out a call to you Eagles fans. The Dirty Sports Hotline is open. I know you have convinced yourself. Jalen Hurts and the guy who can't, the Nick Scaramucci or whatever his name is, who couldn't get through the press conference without cue cards. I know you've convinced yourself this is the future. Now you guys are going to be great. Give us a call. Explain yourselves.
310-359-8365. But the Colts real quick. It seems like we both agree. I like it. I like reuniting Reich and Wentz. I think Frank Reich is a really good coach. I think Wentz will improve. A change of scenery, I think should be good for him. And I think he'll call the right plays, hopefully to protect him. And his camo sleeve will fit in great in Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to wear like a dark green uniform as the Indianapolis Colts, but he'll find a way to make it work. He's going to be like, can we just pretend it's October every month?
Oh, I'm surprised he hasn't been fired as a coach or canceled, considering his name, Reich, the Third Reich. I'm just saying, why haven't the Wokes come for Frank Reich yet?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a better, we will see an improved Carson Wentz for sure. He's not going to be as bad as he was on the Eagles, but there is a chance that Carson Wentz isn't good with the Colts, but I just think risk reward is there. They didn't give up that much. I mean, Matt Stafford got 2 first rounders, another pick, and they gave up Goff to acquire Matthew Stafford. So like in terms of value, the Rams see Matthew Stafford as like infinitely more valuable than Carson Wentz, than the Colts see Carson Wentz, And I think that that's probably correct. But that being said, you don't give up that much for him. I like it.
I think
the dice. It's a free roll.
I think something that no one ever talks about that I'm seeing. We're talking about Jared Goff. We're talking about Carson Wentz. Trubisky. It's not the same year, but he's always talked about because they were trading up for him. I think you can't reach for a QB when you're drafting. I think these teams get desperate because it's the most important position in the field. Obviously, this is like the quarterback show, how we handle our NFL talk. But you see it time and time again, right, Joe? Like these guys, they reach, they trade up, and if the talent.
When's the last, top pick that really, really, really panned out?
Like number one overall?
Number one overall, number two over. I mean, we're like, how far back do we have to go? Like, I wouldn't say Baker's like panned out for being one overall. I wouldn't say
Andrew Luck.
Yeah. Okay. Andrew Luck's retired. In terms of panning out, he played in an AFC championship game. He didn't win it. He didn't, wasn't an MVP. He didn't play in a Super Bowl. And obviously he's gone.
I mean, it is crazy.
So the Deshaun Watson's lower down. The Mahomes is lower down. The guys who have, come out a little later. I mean, even Josh Allen, wasn't he the last of those big four?
So let me just go through the last 15 years, your number one overall picks at QB. And I'm starting at 2020. Burrow, Murray, Mayfield, Goff, Winston, Luck, Cam, Sam Bradford, Matthew Stafford.
That's the funniest one ever.
Jamarcus Russell, Alex Smith, 2005. So if we go back to 2005, I mean, it's pretty hit or miss. Like, obviously, a lot of these guys are young. Yeah, like you said.
Murray is TBD.
Mayfield's TBD. Burrow's TBD. But Winston didn't work out. Goff has not worked out.
Winston didn't work out. Mariota doesn't work out in the same draft. Goff doesn't work out. Wentz doesn't work out in the same draft.
Cam worked out. I mean, I'm going to say they went to the Super Bowl. He got an MVP. Bradford didn't work out. Stafford.
Bradford's the funniest thing of all time.
Yeah.
And I will never forget that we were already doing the show when the Vikings acquired Sam Bradford, and people were like, this is it.
The Vikings like to go for those QBs, man. Like you could almost put Kirk Cousins in that Bradford wheelhouse. Like he's better.
Yeah, but for sure. But the thing with the Vikings is they've been a QB away for so long.
So long. Yeah.
Like, whenever they're close, it's like they're a QB away. And the closest they ever closed was like Randall Cunningham. And even that is like this late career Band-Aid guy.
Yeah.
Dante Culpepper turned out he was just the guy that caught Randy Moss passes. Bradford, who was the other guy that started in Tampa? Josh Freeman, Kirk Cousins, Favre, Bridgewater.
Yeah. Well, yeah, again, it can be tough, man. And the first few picks, it seems it's almost, I don't even know if you'd want to say it's a 50% hit rate as far as drafting these guys and then being successful. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even like I said, I think I could be wrong. Did Josh Allen go 4 of 4 out of Darnold, Baker, Rosen, then Allen?
No, I think Allen was 10th, I want to say.
No, I'm saying, but did he go 4th out of the 4 of those guys? Or was Rosen after him?
I'll look it up. I'm not sure.
You got 2 guys in front of him. And Josh Allen, I think, is the best out of that bunch.
Yeah, well, Lamar Jackson was in that draft too. Don't forget him.
Right.
Yeah, so you had Baker at 1, Sam Darnold at 3. No, Josh Allen went 7th. So he was 3rd. Rosen went 10th.
The Vikings are like, thank you, Dirty Sports Podcast, for reminding us about Josh Rosen. How do we get our hands on him? How do we get our hands on our latest project quarterback who's
so odd,
been bad?
What an odd career.
For who?
Like Rosen. Like,
yeah. I mean, I think we can all agree that it's not been good, but there's also guys like that where I go, you know, like if the Eagles just gave up on Hurts right now and like somebody picked him up and never played him, he's a bust. When you're like, I don't know, it's TBD. Like, obviously, if Josh Rosen was good, he'd show himself on a practice squad and he'd show himself whatever. But like some of those guys, you wonder, you get put in a bad situation and you never get not a bad situation. I'm sure he's not a great quarterback, but he also the Dolphins, the Cardinals. Where is he now? He's like
San Francisco.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if he was good enough, they don't really have a stable QB right now. So, right, if he was good enough, he would be challenging Jimmy G.
Right.
He's in the Niners, right?
I think so. I think that's right.
There's going to be a lot of QB moves. A lot. So we'll see how it plays out.
We all agree that the Colts win this deal?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, that it keeps them in that same hunt, right? That same position, competing with the Titans. Jags, obviously, complete rebuild. The Texans, having no heat in the state of Texas is like, that's like a simile for the Houston Texans. Like, they got no heat in the place. Everyone's leaving. They got a QB who's basically trying to stay warm in his car. He's like, I want to get the fuck out of here. And they're like, no, you're not leaving. You got to stay.
I don't really
the owners hopping on a plane to Cancun, Bob McNair. It's just a mess.
I got beef with a lot of states. I don't really have a lot of Texas beef, but you got to love that. Like, probably if there was a state that's like synonymous with like pretending they could do it on their own and being like, we fly the Texas flag because we could be the fourth biggest country in the world if we just let us go. And then like literally the first time they're like asked to do it on their own, they're freezing to death in the dark.
I love Texas personally. I
like visiting Texas, but I do. You gotta love everything's bigger in Texas,
sure,
including their fucking blackouts, including their bread lines.
Well, when I was in college, there was a lot of kids in my fraternity from Texas, and like Houston and Dallas were like a big feeder for our school. And that used to really get on my nerves. Cause you're right. Like I had never, I didn't really know anybody, right? Cause I grew up in Ohio. So you start meeting these people and you're right. The pride was always Texas first. Then let's say your country, you know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't matter. It was always Texas first.
And it's one of those things where you're like, whose like personality is like the state that they're from?
I mean, I think people take pride. You've seen it in Ohio, but it's nothing like.
Ohio people are defensive about Ohio. Ohio people are aggressively defensive about Ohio.
It's not like this big pride bravado that Texans have.
Yeah. Texans come into the room being like, I'm from Texas. Ohio people just sit in the room until somebody goes, Ohio sucks. And then they go, how dare you? I will stab you to death. We have chili. That river on fire thing, it happened one fucking time.
I will say, I've never really had a bad time in Texas of all the times I've ever been. And they're
that's you to be fair, you've only gone during the times where the whole state has had power.
Dude, have you shared that story? I was trying to recall it to somebody. I could not stop laughing. That story when we were in Austin that one year, and that girl, that girl was so drunk.
Which girl?
It was like it was when I was still drinking. It was like 2013, and that girl came out who you knew and partied with us.
Oh my God.
what happened to her wheel and sparks were flying? You got to retell this story real quick.
She like we were all hanging out, and then she was like leaving to go home.
Well,
and then
hold on. I do remember this part. Let me hop in here real quick. We were on 6th Street, right? That's the main street.
Yeah, I think so.
In downtown Austin.
Yeah,
so we were getting lit all night.
Yeah,
and here was the catch. She had to take a flight, remember, the next day to San Diego.
Right. She was, and she drove out to meet us.
Yes.
And then we were like, just leave your car, come get it tomorrow.
Don't drive.
She's like, no, I have a flight. I've got to catch a flight in the morning. And she's like, I'm going to drive home. And we were like, this is a bad idea.
Yeah, not good.
And she was in one of those, like, it was like one of those parking areas where like the last spot on one end was like boxed in, you know what I mean? Like, so there's the curb in the front, but then there's also the curb next to you. It's kind of like one of those, you know, where the things cut out. So she's in the last spot and she goes to back out and she turns her wheel as if there's like empty space next to her, but there's not. There's a curb. And when she pulls out, she literally like cuts the wheel, like cuts the tire, and the wheel like basically explodes. And
the important part is you and I are on the sidewalk.
We're like, whoa,
watching this in real time. And mind you, we're no exaggeration, Prano. I don't remember. We're like 6 hours deep into drinking.
Yeah.
So not only is it something to watch sober, but like imagine being 6 hours.
This is like pretty much the end of the night. It's probably like midnight at that point, but we probably started.
It's like 2 a.m., man.
Yeah.
It's late.
Yeah. So she rips her tire off. And then you and I are like, well, that settles that. Like, looks like your car's staying here after all. Just pull it right back into that spot. You know, come get it at 6 a.m. Have somebody tow it. Or have somebody change your tire, and then you figure it out from there. And we were kind of relieved. We were like, okay, she's not going to drive home. Nope. Puts it into drive, starts driving off. Literally, the Philadelphia Eagles franchise, a Honda Accord missing one tire, sparks coming, like metal hitting the road.
So I'm so stupid with cars. So I remember the sparks hitting. So
her rim was just she was just driving on 3 tires and a rim.
That was it, right? Yeah. Just
and
3 tires and a rim.
She still had a tire on, but it was shredded. Completely flat.
Sparks. I'll never forget the sparks flying, but here's the best part. I don't know if you remember, we were staying in the biggest dump of a Days Inn.
Oh, I remember. Didn't we move hotels eventually? Or did we end up staying there the whole time?
I don't remember. It was such a dump.
I just remember I refused to go to the bathroom in our own hotel room. So every day we would go downtown, I would go to the bathroom and I would take a dump in the Marriott. Yeah. The people at the Marriott thought I was staying there because I would show up every morning 20 minutes away from where we were staying to go to the bathroom.
But here's the craziest part. I don't know if you remember this. We woke up, of course, all hungover. And I'm like, that girl 100% got arrested, got a DUI. You texted her. She made it back safely. And also made it on her flight to San Diego.
Yeah. I mean, talk about Texas for you. Somebody could just drive down you drive 15 minutes home on a sparking wheelless car. And they're like, everything's bigger in Texas, including our disastrous drunk drivers.
I mean, that was unbelievable. That's when I used to wear that Pornhub hat out sometimes. Remember that? I was wearing that out that night.
I think you lost it on that trip.
I did.
And then I'm pretty sure I
threw it out the window.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, you don't remember? I got so drunk. We were this is like pre-Uber. We were in a taxi. And you said, I didn't remember this. The next day you go, dude, you're a weirdo, man. We're riding back to the hotel in the taxi and you had this big grin. And you go, I'm gonna throw my hat out the window. And you said that you thought I was like just fucking around. And you're like, dude, you rolled down the window, laughed, and just threw your hat out driving on the freeway.
Yeah.
And then the guy yelled at us. Like,
and I just remember you wanting to do that. And then the next day you being I think you like emailed Pornhub and you were like, guys, I need a new hat.
They did. They sent me a new one.
And it was all free swag because you had tweeted about your love of Pornhub so many times.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, man. Everything's bigger in Texas. That's the point of all this,
Jeez, Texas.
right? Bring you back some memories.
They should power Texas on the sparks off of her rudderless car. I wish I had a photograph of.
I know.
So that I could just put the Philadelphia Eagles on the side of the car.
It really is. The Eagles were that girl driving off where you're watching and you're like, wow, this is a train wreck. Somebody is going to get hurt. Like, what a mess.
I'm pretty sure when she drove away, we're like, well, she's dead. Like that's it.
Well, we did.
I think we were for sure. We're like, she's either going to be dead or get arrested on the way home.
Well, the thing is, like, we've all been in this position. And there's only so much you can do to prevent somebody from driving drunk. I mean, it's true though. Like, I don't know this girl. I'm not tackling her. I'm not physically restraining a girl.
There's even only so much God could do. God was like, well, I'm not going to give you a tire. And she's like, God, fuck you.
Right.
I'm making it home.
Because like, I'm just picturing some people are listening. Like, why did you physically restrain her? Like, if you tell somebody, do not drive. Like, I'm not getting into a physical altercation. Obviously,
we were like, this is just such a bad idea. You're so drunk. Like, who cares? Take a cab home now.
Yeah.
Cab back here at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And get your car in the morning and whatever. I think at one point we were like, give your keys to your roommate or your best friend and tell them you left your car down here. You could miss your flight.
Sure. Unbelievable. I will again, I was pretty blacked out, but I do have like, a shaky memory, but it's still there of the sparks flying because it was a minor hill that she was going up. I don't know if you remember that. And the sparks flying, and it was like you were watching a movie. It would be like a early 2000s Judd Apatow movie where is this really happening?
Totally.
I do want to bring up another NFL news story though. The Ben Roethlisberger ones. We're talking quarterbacks.
Okay.
What are they doing? I don't know if you saw this. They have not fully committed to him as of yesterday.
I realize that they don't have a quarterback, but like I'm totally fine with this. Like I think that the Steelers should move on from Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
He's old. He's hot and cold.
He looked bad in the playoffs.
There's bad, like there's no consistency to him, whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's never been a worse 11-0 team in history. I just think they're hanging on to this, like now pretty ancient history of success. Like it was pretty early on that Roethlisberger went to a few Super Bowls. Like the guy hasn't been in a Super Bowl in a decade.
Yeah.
Has he been in an AFC championship game? Like, like I'm sure there's one in there that I'm forgetting, but it's been pretty disappointing.
Well, this is what he did. He was getting the ball out faster than anybody in the NFL last year. So he completely changed, right? The Big Ben model was hold on to the ball. He's going to take a lot of sacks, but he's also going to, do Ben things where he breaks tackles and big plays downfield. But last year he had to get the ball out quicker, but that didn't work like for success. It did to get him 11-0, but he was pretty bad.
It's like, it's not his style. Like, I just think, adjusting your style later in your career because you're not as mobile, that's one thing. I mean, Big Ben's in, year 19, 18, like what year are we talking about here? That he's the 2004 or 5 draft. Like we're talking about,
he was drafted in 2004.
Yeah. We're talking about 17 years late. Like you're not adjusting your game to be this quick fire pat. Like that it's ludicrous. Like,
yeah,
I just think move on. And honestly, I kind of, in a way, I know that they've had as far as successful seasons go. And again, I'm a guy who believes it's kind of a Super Bowl or bust league. And especially the thing is, they're not trending toward the Super Bowl with Ben Roethlisberger. Like, he's very much on the downside. So if you are a quarterback that's not able to lead your team to the Super Bowl and you're not getting better, I think you throw him out. Like,
Well, I agree, because think about it. You have to ask yourself, are the Steelers contenders? And you'd say no. They went 11-0 last year. They were getting walloped in the playoffs by the Browns at home. Also, look at that division. Baker Mayfield seems like he might be figuring it out. The Browns certainly are as an organization. Ravens are going to be right there. I mean, the Bengals, you know the Bengals, but also Burrow looked really good before he got hurt. Obviously, Bengals are going to be Bengals. But my point is, you have 3 young quarterbacks in that division. And I think you just got to move on. I agree. And you might suck next year, or you might suck for a couple years. And the Steelers are traditionally in it every year. They just, they're one of those teams that's always in it. But sometimes you got to get bad before you get better. So,
yeah. And I just think, maybe even more so in football, maybe basketball is probably, if you want to be bad with the lottery, being bad is good in some sense, but like being middle of the road is just absolutely not where you want to be.
Yeah, look.
Like, honestly, going 11-0 and getting walloped in the playoffs is worse than being 0-16.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I'll say about the Steelers. Like, they are, and I'm sure
if they went 0-16, they'd have Trevor Lawrence and they'd be back in the Super Bowl. Like the Steelers, as opposed to the Jaguars. The Steelers get a guy like that, they're in the Super Bowl in 3 years, right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, look, the Steelers, I would call them a model franchise. I think most would agree as far as the longevity, the competitiveness.
The 3 head coaches.
Yeah. They've always been good. They've always been consistent. They're kind of like our friends at Miller Lite, right, Joe? As far as like Miller Lite is the model beer that you want to model yourself after if you're going to create a new brand.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, look at the Miller Lite can. The Miller Lite can is basically the Steelers steel curtain. It's it was the dominant, can of the 70s, the 80s. They got away from it for a minute. They went to the blue can, but now they're back playing, the great style that they've always played. And I feel like, if you look to Miller Lite for consistency, they've never been a lottery team, not for one day.
Yeah. I mean, they're the original light beer. They've always been about bringing you and your friends together for Miller time. I would argue Miller time is as consistent and as known as the terrible towel in Pittsburgh. It's something, and Miller Lite, as we all know, guys, is great taste with only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs. However you and your friends are enjoying Miller time, you can have the original light beer delivered by going to MillerLite.com/dirty sports and find the delivery options near you. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Once again, find any delivery options in your location or any stores which carried Miller Lite. Just go to MillerLite.com/dirty sports. I did something last night, Prano.
Oh, okay. I can't wait to hear this.
Well, that I don't normally do. And we won't talk long about it, but I have to say, I watched Serena Williams.
Watched some tennis.
I watched tennis. I watched the Australian semifinals, the women's Australian semifinals, Serena Williams versus Naomi Osaka. Osaka.
Now, I meant to ask you because I ended up talking to you when I pushed the show back, probably around midnight your time, and you settled in to, for sure, the marquee matchup of the semifinals. Did you stick around and watch the other semifinal match?
No.
Which was a way better match, but obviously not the prime time. Like, so it's sort of one of those things where like the Serena Osaka is like the old NBA West, and then the East played a fantastic series, but I think everybody was agreeing that the winner is probably going to come out of the West. sort of a disappointing match for all of the hype surrounding it, the one that you watched. But I know you were into it.
Well, here's the thing, and people are like, why is Ruther talking about this? I'm talking about this because there was a lot of hype, and I haven't watched enough Serena in her career. Obviously, she's the GOAT women's player, and everyone's saying how Osaka's the new thing, right? And their game is so similar from what I read. Again, I know nothing about tennis, but watching it firsthand, you see that the power, the veracity. I mean, these women are fucking beasts. They're badass. And I liked how different they are, at least from just, again, the completely like ignorant viewer that I am. I like Serena's emotion. I like when she like yells at herself. Like I see myself doing that. That's how I get sometimes. Like I'm like, fucking run another lap, bitch. Or, like, I like that. I like the energy. I like the self-hype. But then you watch the post-match interview with Naomi Osaka, and she's just very quiet, very, she's young.
Yeah.
And she just, she's very different.
Super cool. She's super cool in her, like, in her like immaturity a little bit. She's like for sure mature for her age, and like all her actions from like the, all the social causes and obviously the success, but she's still like, it's kind of fun, the immaturity just on like how long she's been successful at it for, which is not that long. She's relatively new to the scene. So like her saying things that, maybe somebody older would think, different to say, and like the way she's open about how nervous she is, and open about how, she's playing against her hero, and like it's just kind of fun to see somebody that's like got that innocence left and is really a kid when it comes to it. And she's obviously very, very successful already at a very young age, and they're already, talking about sort of the passing of the torch, especially yesterday, because Serena then does a weird kind of like saluting of the crowd and a teary-eyed press conference, and gets up a little bit quick. And somebody asked her if she was saying farewell, and she said, if I was saying farewell, I wouldn't tell anybody. It was like, seems like whether or not she is saying it, it seems like she's sort of hinting at like, I have legitimately and literally passed the torch to her today. Like, I may not be back here, which is kind of crazy, because there was all that hype, and then it's kind of a letdown of a match, and then she might be in the Ben Roethlisberger stage of her career. Yeah,
no, for sure. But I did enjoy it. Side note, I don't know what's going on. I hear you fine. How's your connection looking?
Seems fine to me. Are we getting complaints that I'm not coming through?
Well, no, you're visually, you're not doing well, but audio wise, I hear you great. Looks like my internet, who knows what's going on now with all this weather. My internet is seeming not to work at all right now.
Okay.
Yet I don't know how we're continuing to do the show because it's connected to the internet. If that makes any sense.
It does make sense. I don't know if are you monitoring any sort of comments? Is anybody saying?
No, I just tried to hit refresh. It can't refresh is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
So I'd assume the audio is still recording because we're still here on Zoom, correct?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But like, I look fine from my end. You're all pixelated and everything.
All right.
Everything
looks fine on my end.
Okay. Because I can't even hit refresh on my like I'm hitting refresh on my computer and it's just not working.
Okay.
So it makes me think it's an internet connection. Anyway, I just want to let you know, God forbid if we lost all this, I don't know why we would. Because we're still recording. So let's just go. It sucks for the YouTube people, but let's just continue through. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay. And now I hit record, or I hit refresh, and now I don't know what's going on. Now I don't even know what we were going to talk about. Oh, I know what we'll talk about. Big contract, Fernando Tatis Jr. Holy cow.
Big contract. Not the biggest ever. but right up there. And I know that these deals that are 13 and 14 years, et cetera, is they essentially can't work out till the end, right? But I think this is going to end up being a bargain for them.
Why do you say that? That's a lot of money, man.
I say that because unlike the Bryce Harper deal, he's in the league. Like this will be his second full year.
Yeah, he hasn't even played 162 games.
Yeah. So essentially it's not even his real second full year, but he started and finished last season in a shortened season. He comes up the year before. They get in him early. The reason I think that this could be a steal is, let's say you take the, what is it, $340 million?
Yeah.
This is totally hypothetical, but let's say you take that $340 million and you spread it out over 10 years. Let's just say the last 4 years of his career are complete and utter dog shit. He's a bench player. He doesn't play at all, but they're tied to that money. If they pay him $34 million a year for 10 years at the production that he gave you last year, with inflation, with the way these contracts just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, it'll be a great deal.
You're assuming a lot, though. I would counter. You're assuming 10 years of that type of production. That's a lot.
I'm saying 10. So how about this? 10 years at a, all-star shortstop in the NL. Like, I think that this ends up being a steal of a deal for them. Harper is way older when they give him the contract. I mean, maybe not way older, but way further into his career. He still got, whether or not he came up, they both came up when they were really young. And Harper was already coming off of a down year. Like, you're just getting in so early on this that, like, you look at the A-Rod deal that he signed with Texas and then the A-Rod deal that he signs with the Yankees. It's essentially giving him 1 year, one deal for that whole thing. You know what I mean? So you don't have to do 7 years from now when the best baseball players get $60 million a year. It's like he's already locked in the 34.
Yeah, I mean, personally,
and I'm just talking about the 10. That's just for 10 years. I think, barring injury, if he's 80% of what he was for the majority of this career, I think it's a steal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would argue. He's only 22. I know what you're saying, but I would say it's so much money, man. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this, right? Where a guy who hasn't played a full season, he's played 149 games, he's getting this, and I know how good he is.
I think that's what makes it the good. That's what makes it a good deal. If you wait 3 more years and you give him this deal, you're giving him the deal almost counting that the end of the deal sucks. This way, if the end of the deal sucks the way that everybody's counting on the end of the Trout deal sucking and the end of the Harper deal sucking and the end of the Pujols deal that sucked and the end of, if it happens, it's par for the course. That's what all of these contracts are. The end of it's going to suck. We'll just trade Robinson Cano to the Mets when he turns 40. Like, that's, you know what I mean? And so you're counting on that happening. So if it happens, it's par for the course. If he just plays fine into his mid-30s, you got a bargain.
Yeah. I mean, they're going all in. You have to hand it to them. They got now two $300 million guys, $300 million guys with him and Machado. which is crazy. They're going all in. Obviously, we got a great rivalry brewing with the Dodgers and the Padres, same division, both going all in.
I mean, Bryce Harper is 28. Bryce Harper's deal was for 13 years.
Yeah. It's
So
crazy.
you know, this deal ends at the same time. Essentially, this deal ends a year later than Bryce Harper's deal, and he'll be 6 years younger.
Yeah. But this has been so crazy because you either are, when I'm talking to you, it's either like you're stopped completely, but you're talking, or it's like in a like weird movement delay. It's like I'm on acid talking to you. It's crazy. I don't know if we should just stop this and restart it or what we should do.
Justin Wood just texted us. Everything is fine! ! Both look sexy.
That's hilarious because my internet is not working.
Yeah.
Which sucks because I don't know if I can play the calls that I have. So we have some good calls. So I guess we'll just keep letting it rip. I am connected to the internet. I don't know. Dude, who knows? Did something happen?
Multiple people here saying everything looks normal.
Did I put something in my lunch?
I didn't realize how many people I have that watch our show live that I'm friends with. Like, I'm getting text messages. You guys look fine. Everything's good.
Okay. Well, good to know.
I mean, so you're a little bit skeptical of this Tatis deal?
I am. Just because of, again, it's guaranteed. Like, what if he gets? You could say that about anybody. Like, what if he gets injured next year?
Injuries happen, and obviously we all saw the tweet. But the Mets will still be paying Bob Bonilla for 1 year after this deal's over. So,
for real, I didn't see that.
Yeah. But, I mean, obviously, Bobby Bonilla is just the face of the extended deal thing.
The Reds are still paying Ken Griffey Jr., so it's the same thing.
But and so I think the thing is like these deals, that's sort of the out, is like in the end, if Tatis is, if they turn it into he gets $2 million for the rest of his life, like what do they care? The bottom line is, and I know Dodgers fans are going to be fucking rolling their eyes, because they have their half season asterisk championship and, all that. But the Padres are coming for you.
Oh, yeah.
They mean business. They have had the best offseason for sure.
And by the way, you and I always like going to Petco. It's a beautiful stadium down there in San Diego. Because of these new deals, their burritos are now going to be $42. So bad news for the locals in San Diego.
But if you're San Diego, you got at some point you got to try to be a legitimate baseball club, and they have. I don't want to say they've gotten the dirty slides bump entirely, but we told them to bring back the Brown. They brought back the Brown. They're immediately better. Now the marquee players are coming to life. They're signing all these guys. I mean, I'll say this: the San Diego Padres will make the playoffs this year.
Well, they've always said they're a small market, which always confused me because I'm like, well, population-wise, you're not a small market. San Diego is a very largely populated city, so that always made me laugh. Like, oh, we're a small market. I'm like, you're not a small market. Kansas City, Cincinnati is a small market.
I think San Diego and Anaheim and whatever. I think it's like they consider themselves smallish markets because they kind of like bleed into each other, right? Like Anaheim's kind of gets stolen by the Dodgers, stolen by the Padres a little bit. The Padres are like, I mean, how many people, like, where's San Diego ranked, like, city size in the country? Like, it's a medium sized city, right?
Not actual city. It's like top 10, dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And that's probably everything. That's probably San Diego County and Oceanside and all that.
I looked it up the other day, and I'd look it up now, but wait, my internet doesn't work. But yet I'm still, dude, this is like the power of God that it's still doing our show. Like, the show must go on. Well, the Dirty Sports bump was in effect. I was like, yo, Tim Tebow, you got to stop. And guess who retired? Tim Tebow.
Yeah. And thank God. Literally. Thank you, God.
You think that's from blowback? What do you think? What do you think spurred that?
That's a great question because he doesn't announce it until right after they announce that he gets an invite to camp.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I didn't see. Was there much blowback? I didn't really fully pay attention.
I mean, I would say that the blowback from you is probably the strongest of, like, you know, I mean, he got roasted pretty well. Maybe he just got to the point where obviously he's got his hands in a lot of different things. Maybe he just got to the point of like, shit, I got to go to St. Lucie right now and like get back into baseball shape. Maybe he, you know, hasn't really been taking a ton of batting practice this offseason, which a lot of these guys like don't necessarily. Like, a lot of people, the offseason is the offseason. I mean, obviously the harder you work, the better, but like a lot of these guys, it's like they go fishing and then that's what spring training's for, to like get tuned back up. And maybe he just didn't feel like trying to do it again, and the blowback and the press and whatever. Who knows if somebody talked to him. I saw a great tweet. Shout out to our friends at Put It in the Podcast, a great Mets podcast that I've guested on a few times. My boy Jesse Funk, I'm assuming, is responsible for the tweet, but he wrote, Tim Tebow has given up baseball for Lent, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, it is funny. I think I saw a tweet from DirtBall Jesus about, like, you know, Tebow's married now. It's like he's getting laid. He's like, I don't need baseball, right? Tebow finally had sex and he realized how awesome it was.
Or maybe his wife doesn't want him in a locker room full of shirtless men.
Ooh, Andy Ruther theory right there.
So the Mets are done with Tebow, and that's good because this is a new regime for the Mets. It's a new era. I would say if you look at, we just said how great the offseason's been. I think the Padres probably had the best offseason of any team. The Mets probably a close second, and they fired the sexual predator that they hired at GM. They get rid of Tim Tebow. They get Lindor. They get it's a new era. So it's the Steve Cohen, Steve Cohen comes in and ruins every internet kid's stock market dreams. Like it's a new time to be a Mets fan, and Tim Tebow is part of the old regime. So bye forever.
Yeah. Go back to the SEC network and mega churches or whatever he does.
Or maybe he realized that, maybe he heard the rumblings that Carson Wentz was off to the Colts, and he realized that the Philadelphia, he's literally as qualified as anybody to be the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback right now.
Didn't he play? Did he play? He played for Philly for a minute, right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Vikings GM's like, Tebow's available. Interesting.
I still can't believe he won. The craziest thing about Tim Tebow,
we get like a Bradford Tebow back. We run like a split wish situation.
Tebow won a playoff game. That's crazy to me. They beat the Steelers.
Yeah.
Tim Tebow beat the Steelers. That's nuts to me.
Yeah.
Do you remember how bad those games were? I can remember watching those games. He'd go like 5 of 12.
Yeah, for like 42 yards.
And like 90 yards rushing, and they'd somehow win because their defense played great.
Yeah.
Oh, those games were so bad. The Tebow
and everybody
era.
was like, Tebow. And then they were like, we're going to get Peyton Manning and go to a couple Super Bowls real quick.
Yeah, that one freak slant pass that Tim Tebow did in the playoffs? Peyton Manning's going to do 8 of those a game.
Yeah.
Okay, Prano, should I try to test the calls?
By the way, I also saw a great Tim Tebow stat. Tim Tebow finished with more professional home runs than he finished with professional touchdown passes.
Shut up. That's a good one.
It's a good one.
That's
because his baseball career was a debacle.
Such a mess. All right, here's what I'm going to do. Either we're going to end with calls, and we had some good ones. So shout out to DirtBalls, 310-359-8365. We're either going to end with calls or they're not going to work. And we're just going to end the show, and it's going to be a really short show. Sorry.
Okay.
We'll push these to the next
I have a feeling calls will work, but
why? Because it's connected to the internet. Let's see. Let's test it out.
I'm back once again from.
Oh, this one's working. You heard that?
Yeah, although that one might have been buffered. Let's find out.
Let's see.
beautiful Toms River, New Jersey, home of the 1998 Little League World Series champions. And on the latest podcast, you guys mentioned how the stand.
Oh, what
Did
a
it fail?
tease. What a tease.
Wow.
It just stopped at 12 seconds in. Kyle Aronofsky calling.
That's really too bad. I was excited for calls.
Me too, because there were some good ones. Now I remember what the calls are. I remember what that one is. How about I'll do this? That was a good one because that was a good sports discussion.
Only if you do the impressions too. I need you to do Kyle Aronofsky. I need you to do each person's call.
Kyle Aronofsky calling in from beautiful Tom's River. No, that's terrible. I'm not good at impressions. Okay, this was his question though.
Okay.
It's even weirder that I can't really see you, which makes this funnier. We had talked about the trophies last episode with throwing the Lombardi Trophy and the Lombardi
Stanley
Karen
Cup and Lombardi Karen
and Stanley Cup, and
which I didn't know, by the way. Not that it was the most original idea of all time to call her Karen Lombardi, but apparently everybody had been calling her Karen Lombardi.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
So whatever. Well, his call was, I think everyone agrees that the Stanley Cup is the most revered, the best trophy of the four major sports.
Yes.
What about the other ones? Like, where do we?
Afternoon, gentlemen. This is Brandon from Emmaus, Pennsylvania.
Whoa! Did we get the internet back? Did we get it back?
I mean, this is the Philadelphia Eagles of internets over there. Like, it doesn't know what it is right now.
I don't know. It just started playing, but the internet's not working because I'm trying to refresh something else. Anyway, let me finish up. Sorry, Dirtballs. Deal with this. I don't know what's going on right now. Regardless, how would we rank the other trophies? And I think that's a good question. I think we're all.
I think it. I mean, mine's pretty. I'm pretty set. I think it's.
Me too.
I don't love the Lombardi Trophy. I don't love how it looks. I'm going Stanley Cup, basketball, football, baseball. I think the baseball trophy is horrible.
I agree.
The baseball trophy looks like it would poke you. Like, why are there little flags? There's just make it a glove and a ball. Like, the baseball trophy is by far the worst.
I agree.
I mean, like, we start getting into other stuff like the World Cup soccer trophy is pretty dope, But yeah, the four majors, I'm going hockey, basketball, football, baseball.
We're going to flip. We're going to agree with the first and the last. I'm going to flip. I like football number.
And now I've lost Andy. I have no idea if Andy can hear me. I have no idea if you guys can. And now Andy's back. Now Andy's moving again.
Oh, I locked up?
Yeah.
Okay, now it's saying my internet connection is unstable, but I think I got everything back. Okay.
So you're going football. See, to me, the Lombardi Trophy, it's like on a pedestal. Like, why is the pedestal involved? Like,
Yeah.
I actually like the college football trophy, like the crystal football looks way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the basketball trophy with the hoop attached.
There's not a hoop of a basketball trophy.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of got like the gold thing, and I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be I'm pretty sure it's got like a little carved netting in it.
Okay. Well, me personally, Lombardi number 2, basketball 3, baseball. Yeah. Like, what are you trying to do? Gouge somebody's eye out? What's going on there?
And all the pennant flags. It's probably interesting when there was like 8 teams. Now there's 30 pennant flags on it.
Yeah. Well, I think
Justin Turner's poking people with it. They're bleeding. Everybody's getting COVID. It's killing Tommy Lasorda. Like, come on.
Too soon, Joe. Too soon. I think I got calls back. Let's try them out.
Let's go.
This question is for Joe. With spring training starting today and baseball season on the horizon, I was just curious if you and Andy Lazarus were going to start up Dirty Slides again, whether it be through Zoom or in person. I know that I loved listening to the show every chance that I got. And with the full season, we got plenty of games to talk about, even if it's just a once a week or, once every 2 week kind of thing. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.
I'm bringing the mic to my mouth like Dirk in the press conference to say Dirty Slides will return. Dirty Slides will for sure be back. This is a season. I'll essentially say this. Every season of Dirty Slides up to this point has been spring training for the Mets Cohen era. We fixed the Padres. The Padres are a big market franchise again. The Padres have a $800 million infield. The Padres are wearing brown. The Padres are going to make the playoffs this year. We're turning Dirty Slides into all the good slides juju is going toward the Steve Cohen Mets. Dirty Slides will be back. We'll do one. We'll do a baseball preseason spring training preview within 10 days from now, and we will get a regular episode up and loaded. What really needs to happen, what really took some wind out of our sails was, for some reason, Twitter has stolen the Dirty Slides Twitter feed from us, and we cannot access it. And
wait, what?
Yeah, I can't access Dirty Slides Twitter because it's linked to an email, but when you request a new password change, it doesn't send it to that email. Like, we're locked out of Twitter, which is upsetting. I'm going to work on it. But either way, we will upload a new Dirty Slides very soon.
Well, that'll be in person, right?
That'll be in person, possibly over Zoom. We could do either way because, we'll figure out.
All right. Well, we might as well continue. Here's another question for you.
I'm just getting hit with the calls today.
What is going on, Joe and Andy? It is your boy Troy from New Jersey. I'm just wondering, I DM'd Joe actually, and I'm just wondering about the whole, because it's Knicks season right now. I mean, we're 6th seed. I'm fucking juiced. It's been a while. As a mellow realist of myself. I'm just wondering, I remember Joe tweeting, he's really anti the Porzingis trade, but I was just looking at his stats. Like, we got tons of picks for it. We got Quickly, we got Randall, we got D Rose now from one of the picks that we got from that. I just want you retracting that statement a little bit. Porzingis does not look like the same guy. He's injured almost all the time. I mean, he can't get any post moves, but that's about it. Hope to hear your thoughts. Stay dirty. And condoms are Philly fans always. Fucking scum of the earth.
So I did get his tweet, and I meant to reply to it. I will say this. So I think there's a couple of different things happening here. First of all, I've already taken the L on Tom Thibodeau. I thought Tibbs was the wrong hire for a young team. It seemed like, the game and player empowerment was not suitable for a guy who's Mr., general style. Tibbs has been great. The Knicks are for sure overachieving. That's taken a little bit of a turn lately. Like, they played pretty well. They got waxed by the Magic yesterday, but they're still in a playoff position. A buddy of mine was asking, like, what's a successful rest of the season? I said, not to make a disastrous trade and, maybe play a 6-game first round series. Like, that would be a win, and I think a successful season for the Knicks would be to get into the playoffs for sure. Like, not be the play-in game, not be whatever. Get in, have a playoff series, and like be competitive and turn the winning around. That being said, the Porzingis trade is something that like Knicks fans love to kind of point to as like, look at all we got with, the Porzingis trade. And I got to say, I don't really agree necessarily. So right now, one of the things, and Troy, I guess it was, who sent us this, is the $74 million in cap space that Porzingis got us, got Bobby Portis, Wayne Ellington, Julius Randle, Marcus Morris, Reggie Bullock, Elfrid Payton, and Taj Gibson. So everybody's like, look, Julius Randle should be an all-star. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names. Julius Randle is the only person of those 7 that I wouldn't happily see get put on a rocket ship and shot into the sun. So when you talk about the Kristaps Porzingis $74 million in cap space getting you Julius Randle, is like, listen, there also would have been cap space to sign Julius Randle and just not 6 other disastrous players. Reggie Bullock has been serviceable for the Knicks this year, but like, we don't need him. It's not like the reason you trade a unicorn. Elfrid Payton's been serviceable, but meanwhile, Derrick Rose and Emmanuel Quickley and whatever are guys who are like giving up minutes so Elfrid Payton can be there. Also, you give up Dennis Smith Jr. You get Dennis Smith Jr., who's already gone and was terrible. And here's the other thing. Yes, you gave up Courtney Lee, who good riddance, but the other thing that the Knicks don't have right now, they keep trying to do it with Alec Burks. They keep trying to do it with Reggie Bullock. They don't have like a legit shooting, like a stretchy wing player. I know the Knicks, the Tim Hardaway Jr. contract was terrible, and you got that off your books. But it's kind of unfair to be like, we also got Tim Hardaway Jr. off our books. Like, you didn't have to give Tim Hardaway Jr. a terrible fucking contract. You could have given him a reasonable contract and then had him. Tim Hardaway Jr. on this Knicks team would be great.
Dude, he plays very well on the Mavs, and he fills that role perfectly.
Like the Knicks would love to have Tim Hardaway Jr. You wouldn't love to have him at his contract, but it's like, you're not allowed to be like, they got that terrible contract off their books. They gave him that terrible contract.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ridiculous. Now, the Porzingis itself thing, in terms of, oh, he's not healthy, he's not whatever, is one thing. But like, hindsight's 2020. But when you look in hindsight, you got 6 of 7 terrible players, 6 of 7 players in free agency, and only one of them was, worked out. Like, you could have still absolutely signed Julius Randle. You still absolutely could have, kept 1 or 2 of these other guys who are terrible with the money that you save. I just think looking at these things and saying like, oh, it leads to Quickley, it leads to this, it leads to, like, Emmanuel Quickley has been awesome, but the Knicks, everybody agreed the Knicks kind of reached for him in the draft. Now, it doesn't look like it's a reach, but if you want to take Emmanuel Quickley early, you're going to be able to do that whether or not you have, like, you can take him in the second round. You can take whatever, like, also, are they, like, Obi Toppin is TBD, but like, maybe that's a waste of draft pick. I just think hindsight's 2020 to say that this team ends up exactly with these guys because Porzingis. Because the only thing you can really point out is that Porzingis leads to cap space, which leads to them signing a bunch of terrible players. Now, here's where it gets interesting. And I know this is the longest call ever about the Kristaps Porzingis, the longest ever answer about the Kristaps Porzingis trade is, if the Mavs suck and continue to kind of suck, and some of those draft picks turn into great draft picks, now we're talking, okay. Now we're talking, okay, it worked out. But as it sits right now, you can kind of shift the pieces around however you want to make it look like, oh, it's a good deal, it's a bad deal, it's a good deal, it's a bad deal. The Knicks could have Emmanuel Quickley and Julius Randle and Kristaps Porzingis, and maybe you can't have Tim Hardaway Jr., but again, you can't say, oh, fuck, Tim Hardaway Jr.'s contract was terrible. You gave him that terrible contract.
Yeah.
Or I think maybe traded for him after the Hawks gave him that terrible contract. I don't remember what it was, but either way, they acquired the terrible contract or gave him / extended the terrible contract. So you can't really blame them. Hey, we got rid of Tim Hardaway. Well, how'd you get Tim Hardaway Jr. in the fucking first place? And by the way, Tim Hardaway Jr. would be great on the Knicks. And I would trade Elfrid Payton and Alec Burks and Reggie Bullock and Wayne Ellington, who's already gone, and Bobby Portis, who's already gone, and the corpse of Taj Gibson and all the I would trade every single one of them, and Austin Rivers, who doesn't play anymore. I would get rid of all of them for a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr. who can actually stretch the floor.
Nets, Lakers. Who you got tonight?
I got the
AD less Lakers.
That's what I was gonna say. It's the AD less Lakers, which makes me want to say I've got the Nets, but at the same time, it's like, just where everything's pointing one way.
Mm-hmm.
How about this? I'll bet the Lakers to cover.
Yeah, I think the Nets win. All right, let's do one more call. We've had a lot of discussions about the weather. Let's hear from our farmer DirtBall.
Lakers are somehow favored by 3. You know what? I'm in. Let's go. I'll take the Lakers tonight.
Let's hear the life of a farmer in the cold, Joe.
Joe, Andy, your number one farmer DirtBall from Minnesota. I want to talk weather a little bit. You guys mentioned the weather on the last episode here. Joe mentioned, unless you're like a farmer or something, the weather don't fucking matter. Guess what? Start my pickup in the morning. I get my pickup. I drive to work, a mile to work, get out of my pickup. Fuck, it's cold out. I run into the loader to start mixing feed, heated seat. Sit in my heated seat, get off my heated seat, into my heated tractor. Feed the cows. Hopefully nothing's broken. As long as nothing's broken, we're fine. If you're a crop farmer, you're not able to participate in the conversation. We have dairy cows. We got to actually do shit a little bit. But, it's not. We all act rough and tumble as farmers, but the advent of technology has made things a lot easier. My grandfather freezing his ass off on his horse was something to be proud of, but got heated water tanks, heated tractor seats, heated shop. You just don't do as much stuff. Take it easy, man. Have some Miller Lights. Stay dirty, boys.
Yeah, you don't think about that.
I love it because I was even saying basically everybody, basically the complaining about the cold is you're in your fucking car and you're in your house or whatever. I was basically saying only farmers can complain. And he's saying he has no complaints.
Well,
everything's heated.
Yeah, he's one guy.
Yeah.
I would be curious. My mom grew up on a farm. All my uncles have farms. I'd be curious. I'd assume though, and they're older, but I'd assume they'd have the same thing, like heat in their tractors.
Yeah, listen, Andy, we're not the call says, the technology is taking care of these guys. If your uncle has decided not to get a fucking heated tractor, it seems like it's not like, I can't. If you don't heat your car, you really can't complain either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the technology is there.
Yeah. Unless you're in Texas.
And it's great to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, it is an interesting perspective. How far we've come. It really is. Guys, drop us a call, 310-359-8365. That's the hotline. Drop us an iTunes review and you get 2 free koozies. I sent out 17 this week. Long overdue. So if you've left an iTunes review in January, a koozie is on the way. Just leave your Instagram or Twitter handle. And if you don't have one of those, email me, andyruther45@gmail.com. It's that simple. Yes, Joe?
No, I didn't know you were done there.
Ah.
I guess it's just that simple as like your closing phrase. At Joe Prano on Instagram and TikTok and Venmo and all kinds of other things. If you're wondering what my name is on anything and it's not Twitter, it's at Joe Prano. Otherwise, I am Fix Your Life on Twitter. I'm pretty sure Troy's DM about Porzingis is the only one that I've not answered in the history of people sliding into my DMs. So feel free to message me on Twitter. If you got any sports questions, send me a picture on Twitter or Instagram of you drinking a Miller Lite. I sent out some Cameo Valentines. I'm still on Cameo, all that stuff. You know what it is. And keep your eye out, rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. And while you're there subscribing to podcasts, subscribe to the Dirty Slides because another one of those will be coming soon.
And if you know how the internet works, I don't know why I had shaky time today. Let me know. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if the snow got to it, an icicle fell. I don't know. Icicles are everywhere. I haven't stepped foot out of the house today.
I got to tell you, Andy, we might pay more in taxes, The big one might make, this part of California that I'm in slide into the ocean one day. But all the tech companies are out here. So as far as internet goes, all I got to say is quality of life.
They're not all out there. They're leaving, Joey.
Quality of internet service.
Got to follow that news. A lot of those companies are going to Texas.
Let's see how that goes with the Jewish space lasers shutting down the windmills.
I'm just saying, a lot have left, buddy. A lot have left. Yeah, we no, it's probably a me thing. It's I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Cincinnati Bell, what's up? What's up with you guys? Figure it out.
But listen, your telecommunications company, if it still has Bell in the name, it's antiquated. Get the Bells. We're still on the Bell system out there.
Yeah, I don't want to use Spectrum.
Like Alexander Graham Bell.
Yeah, I don't want to use Spectrum.
Hello, operator, please. I'm having internet troubles. Could you connect me to the local internet farm? I'm having some internet connection cables.
Well, that's the show, guys. Thank you for the support.
Over there talking into a little fucking handset. Holding fucking shit up to your ear.
Thank you for tuning in as I made it through Cincinnati Bell and their shaky connection.
The fucking farmer dirtball up in Minnesota's got Wi-Fi in his fucking tractor. You're in a basement connecting to fucking sending telegrams.
Morse code, buddy.
System.
Morse code. We haven't even got the telegrams. Guys, have a great weekend. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, whatever you're doing.